You clicked because you want to see something fight to live. Good, you're in the right place. In the next 10 minutes, you're going to watch animal parents do things that look impossible. Lying to predators, building fortresses, faking their own injuries, even feeding their babies their own bodies. And by the end, one of these tactics is going to feel uncomfortably human. So let's confirm what you came for. Blood, brains, and the strange genius of staying alive. But before the lions, picture a bird that pretends to break its own wing. It drags it through the dirt, screaming like it's dying, stumbling away from a fox. The fox follows, sure it's found an easy meal. And then the bird just flies away. What was it protecting? Why would an animal risk getting eaten on purpose? Hold that question. We're coming back to it, because this one little bird tells you everything about how survival actually works in the wild, and it's not what you think. Here's the frame for everything you're about to see. Predators have one job, eat. Parents have one job, make sure their babies aren't dinner. That's the whole war. Tooth versus trick, speed versus strategy. And the wild thing is, parents usually don't win by being stronger. They win by being smarter. So the real question isn't who's tougher, it's who outthinks who. Let's start small and get bigger. Look at a newborn deer. Spots all over its back like sunlight broken through leaves, folded legs, big, wet, dark eyes that don't blink much. And here's the part you'd miss. It has almost no smell. A predator's nose is its best weapon, and a fawn just switches that weapon off by barely existing. The mother does something that feels cruel. She walks away, far away. She only comes back a few times a day to feed. Why would a mother abandon her baby in open grass? Because she smells. Her body, her movement, her warmth. That's the dinner bell. So she keeps her scent away from her child on purpose. The fawn lies frozen, doesn't run, doesn't cry. A wolf can pass 3 feet away and never know it walked past a meal. The eyes stay open. The body stays still. That stillness is the shield. But stillness only works if you're alone and hidden. So what happens when you're a herd animal, out in the open with nowhere to hide and thousands of babies born at once? You'd think that's a buffet. It's actually a math trick, and it's brutal. Wildebeest don't hide their young. They can't. So they cheat with timing. Across the plains, roughly 500,000 calves are born inside the same 3 weeks. 500,000, all at once. Wobbling, fresh, learning to stand in minutes, because if they can't run, they're gone. Here's the genius. Lions, hyenas, crocodiles, they can only eat so much. A predator's stomach has a limit. So when you flood the entire savanna with babies in one short window, the hunters get full. They physically cannot keep up. Most of the calves slip through that gap simply because the killers ran out of room. It's survival by overwhelming the system. Sacrifice a few. Save the thousands. Ask yourself, would you have thought of that? Drowning your enemies not in blood, but in numbers? Let's slow down for a second, because so far, these parents have been passive, hiding, timing, avoiding the fight. Now I want to show you what happens when a parent decides it's done running. Body part number 3. The body is a wall, the wall of mothers. A pride of lions circles a herd of elephants. They've spotted a calf, small enough to drag down, slow enough to catch, and then the ground changes shape. The adult elephants turn. Not away, toward. They pull in tight, shoulder to shoulder, until they form a living wall of gray muscle with the babies tucked dead center. Trunks up, ears flared wide to look even bigger, 6 tons each, and angry. The calf is now standing inside a fortress made of its own family. The lions pace. They test one side, the wall turns to face them. They test the other, the wall turns again. There's no opening, there's no weak spot. Eventually the lions just leave, hungry, because no meal is worth getting crushed under a stampede of furious mothers and aunts. This isn't one parent protecting one baby. This is an entire society agreeing that the children come first. But what if you're not big? What if you're small and soft and the thing hunting you is 100 times your weight? Then you don't build a wall, you build an alarm. Meerkats are barely taller than a soda can. So one of them stands up on a little mound, perfectly straight, eyes scanning the sky and the horizon while everyone else digs and plays and feeds the pups. This one is the sentry, the lookout. The job rotates, everybody takes a shift, and the whole colony's lives ride on that one tiny set of eyes. A shadow crosses, a hawk, and the sentry screams. A sharp, specific bark that means one thing: sky, danger, now. And here's the part that hits. The call for a hawk is different from the call for a snake. Different sound, different threat, different escape. The pups don't have to think. The scream tells them exactly which way to run. One small animal standing in the open, choosing to be the most visible target, so the babies can stay invisible. The voice is the weapon. The scream is the shield. Okay, we've had hiding, timing, walls, alarms. Now we go back to that bird, the liar, the one that fakes its own injury and risks everything. Because this tactic is the cleverest one of all, and it asks something darker of the parent. Remember the killdeer, the little plover with the broken wing act? Here's what's really happening on the ground. Her eggs aren't in a tree. free. They're not in a burrow. They're sitting right out in the open, on bare gravel, with nothing protecting them but how hard they are to notice. So when a fox gets close, she can't fight it. She can't outrun it carrying eggs. She has only one move left. She has to make herself the better target. She drops a wing, drags it, stumbles, cries out in fake pain, looking for all the world like a wounded, easy dying bird. And every instinct in that fox says chase the weak one. So it does. Step by step, the fox follows the injured mother further and further from the nest. She leads it out, stays just barely out of reach, just close enough to keep the lie alive. And the second the fox is far enough away from her babies, the wing snaps back to perfect. She lifts off, gone. She didn't fight, she didn't hide. She lied with her whole body, knowing one mistake meant being torn apart. That's not instinct that looks dumb. That's instinct that looks like courage. And if you think faking an injury is extreme, there are parents that go further. Parents that give up part of their own body. Parents that practically disappear so the babies can grow. Stay with me. This last one is going to sit with you. Deep in the cold dark of the ocean, an octopus mother lays her eggs in a den and refuses to leave. She fans them with water so they stay clean. She guards the entrance from anything that drifts too close. She does this for weeks, months, in some species for years. And the whole time, she doesn't eat, not once. She slowly starves herself, her body breaking down, her color fading, all of her energy poured into keeping those eggs alive and oxygenated. By the time the babies finally hatch and float away into the dark, she has nothing left. She spent her entire self on them. She protects them right up until the moment they no longer need her. And that moment is also her last. No teeth, no wall, no scream. Just a mother who decided her babies' lives were worth more than her own. So go back to the start, to that broken wing bird, and the question I asked you to hold. Why would an animal risk being eaten on purpose? Now you know, because that's not weakness pretending to be brave. That's the smartest, oldest strategy in the entire wild. I will spend myself so they don't have to be spent. The deer who walks away, the wildebeest who flood the plains, the elephants who become a wall, the meerkat who screams, the killdeer who lies, the octopus who fades. Every single one outsmarted a predator not by being stronger, but by being willing to give something up. That's the part that feels human, isn't it? Predators are built to hunt. They have the teeth, the speed, the hunger. But parents have something a predator will never understand, a reason to do the impossible. And in the wild, a reason beats a weapon more often than you'd ever guess. That's how the small survive the strong, not with claws, with cleverness, with sacrifice, and with a kind of love that looks an awful lot like strategy. Now here's the thing I didn't tell you. There's one animal parent that does the opposite of everything you just watched. It doesn't hide its young. It doesn't run. It doesn't sacrifice itself. Instead, it tricks another species into raising its babies for it and lets those foster parents get fooled their entire lives. You've probably even heard its call without knowing what it was doing. I broke that one down in the video popping up on your screen right now. And once you see how it works, you're going to want to come straight back here and rewatch these 6 parents with completely new eyes. So go on, click it. Let's see who's really outsmarting who.